All right, thanks very much. So I'm a big wall climber, and this is Yosemite Valley in California, where the real big walls are. On the far side there, you've got El Capitan, sort of a vertical kilometer from bottom to top. And if any of you have done any rock climbing, it's just climbing for days on end. So if you go to the climbing wall and do a little bit, you just do a little bit for 8 days straight, and you'll get to the top of that thing. It's not that bad. These these photos I put in, I talked to my mother about this talk at the start, and I was like, oh, I'm going to put a couple in, explain how the system works. She's like, no. You just tell them your poop stories. They'll love that, and then they'll laugh, and they won't listen to the rest of it. Anyway, I'll save you from the poop stories, but needless to say, I have too many Ziploc stories for one boy at this age. This is me up about 2,000 feet on El Cap, trying to be really cool while trying to avoid slamming into that slab in the bottom corner, because there's no gear on the rope or anything, but by the time you get to the top, it's perfect, and I didn't fall off. And this is the view from the top of El Cap, looking right down at the start of the routes. The trees are about 100 feet tall, sort of 30 meters tall, to give you a scale. This was taken at the end of an 8th day. I soloed the route on my own, no falls, and I was young then, well, younger, and it went very well. And this is what you do in Yosemite to chill out. You just spent 8 days on your own. You want to go and hang out with your buddies. So you put a tightrope up about 2,000 feet off the deck. You just go and sort of relax. You don't have to think about much out there. You just try and think about nothing and not fall off. Anyway, so once you've been in Yosemite for a while, sort of 4 seasons, I climbed El Cap 10 times, you're like, right, what can we do with all this skill that we've got? So you take it down south, as far south down the South American continent you can go to Patagonia. And this is Cerro Catedral in Torres del Paine, a place notorious for sort of terrible winds and worse weather, which we experienced and you're about to experience in the next couple of minutes. So Paine is a bit different. El Cap, 5 minutes from the road, pretty cruiser. You can get all your gear there in a day. This is Mason, an American friend of mine, and me doing the first of 3 loads of 50 kilos on the 15-mile approach against about 6,000 feet. So Mason's legs are much smaller than mine, and by sort of a mile after that picture, he was tired, so we had to sack that off. And 10 days later, we had all the kit at the bottom, and there's the face we're going to climb, and Mason and George are in the bottom corner for a bit of scale, right at the start of our route. The face is about 900 meters tall, so it's a good size, but it's not as big as El Cap, so we were pretty confident. The blue skies in that last photo were a lie, a solid lie. This is what it should look like. So every day we get out the tent at 5 in the morning, walk the 3 hours to the base, take some extra food up so we got ready for the climb. But each time we got there, the weather would be like this, and you can't do anything with that. So you just walk back and sit in the cave, which is a lovely place to spend sort of 3 weeks at a time. This is George, an English chap who's our other partner, and Mason's eating a pizza there. You might notice that's most of our pastime in the cave. We used to sort of sleep 18 hours and eat for 6 hours while we watched the snow fall. And it's a pretty torturous existence in the cave, and you could get up maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get out your sleeping bag, put your sleeping bag clothes on that you can walk around in, and check the sat phone, and that thing was like God to us. Mason's parents would send us a weather text message every day, and we'd watch it, and it would say, next 4 days, terrible. Apart from we got one that said, Thursday's brilliant, boys. So on we went to the wall, and here's Mason getting drowned in 3-meter deep spindrift. He kept disappearing from us. He's about 10 meters away, just getting punished by the snow that was falling down the face. It sort of lands at about 6 inches a minute. You have to shake yourself off, otherwise you just get buried. And then here's another lie. There's a sunny day. The next morning, we got to bed about 2:30 that morning, having climbed for 20 hours straight. We got our tents out. These ledges are about the size of a single mattress, and the white one's where Mason and I live, and George lives in the orange one. It's a pretty brutal thing to live in, but you can see our house down there at the bottom. It's not so bad. And this is us. And once you've got your house out, you're just going for a day's climbing, and then you go home, back to your house. So this is us sort of 100 meters above the house, doing some climbing on some new rocks. So we'd started on a standard route, and then we'd broken left because we'd seen some cool rocks from the ground. And that's us climbing. But the weather we had was absolutely miserable. It snowed every day, and it never got above freezing for the 10 days we were on the face. So we'd go out in the morning and come home for lunch. And this is us having wall sandwiches, but our bread died, so you have to wrap the bread in the cheese and have like cheese-lined sandwiches. And the jet boil's a crucial skill to get as much hot water in as you can. So we moved house 5 days after we'd been on the wall. We moved house to about 400 meters up the face. And this is me at what became our high point this season. You can see the incredible snow sculpture at the bottom. So you're never bored hanging out up there. You've always got something to look at. And if you're climbing, then you don't look at anything. You just try and relax. So the 9th day on the face now, and we had absolutely shocking weather. It started just heavy, thick snow, so you can't go out, hang out with your soft stuffed toy and listen to your iPod. That's what real hardcore big wall climbers do. But then the wind started, and by sort of midnight, the wind was 100-mile-an-hour updrafts, and it's shaking your single bed like your bed's trying to kill you, and George's bed tried to kill him. This is, you can't see, it's a terrible picture. George folded in a V shape, encapsulated in his ledge, which has collapsed, in his sleeping bag, in his bivvy bag, tied into his harness. So the next 2 hours was us sort of trying to rescue George without chucking his sleeping bag off the face. And we spent the rest of that night, 3 of us getting shook about in the ledge. And there's no other option then, you have to go down. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But there was 80-mile-an-hour updrafts that day, and the snow, instead of coming down, was coming up. So you could look up. Of course, you're trying to abseil down the ropes, and you can't see a thing because you're just getting punished by the snow in your face, which is cracking. But the feeling of relief at the bottom, top notch. You want to go and get yourself some of that. That's. There's not much else. I don't have a big sum up as to why or what, but it makes the beer taste a bit better, and you get some of these photos with your face instead of mine. So you should have a think. See if you fancy. Well, some of them. El Cap's nice. It's sunny. Yeah. So thanks very much.